Hey there, and welcome back to the TBH Test Kitchen, where today we're actually going to be whipping up an old favorite, chicken fried backstrap, but with a little bit of a twist. So what I've got in front of me is a whitetail backstrap, but I've done it three different ways. First, I took some slices of that backstrap and I freeze dried it raw. I've done pre-cooked meat before, but I've never done raw meat, so I thought it would be a great test to freeze dry the meat, then reconstitute it or rehydrate it, and then do a comparison to one of my favorites and probably yours, the old chicken fried backstraps. If you can see in front of me, I've got 4 pieces here that I cut off today, and these are the just thawed out non-freeze dried backstraps. You can see they've got a little bit better color to them. Now, part of that is I think in the rehydration process, because they were soaked in moisture, they turned a little bit off color. So I've got the 2 here in the center were actually reconstituted in water that I added a little bit of venison bone stock to, and then the other 2 over here were just rehydrated solely in water. I've rehydrated them probably for about 12 hours. So I'm going to do a comparison. I'm going to cook everything else the same way. So I actually soaked them in buttermilk with a little bit of hot sauce. I added freeze-dried egg powder instead of a regular egg, just to mix it up a little bit and make use of some of the freeze-dried product that I have. And you can see I've got the freeze-dried egg powder here, so I just put a tablespoon in each of the bowls and then soaked them in that buttermilk. And then we like to hammer them out lightly with a meat tenderizer before we cook them. So what I'm going to do now is I've got a mixture of cornstarch and flour, rosemary salt, if you know, you know, some paprika, some garlic powder, some onion powder, some black pepper, and I think that's about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double batter them. I'm going to put them in the flour mixture, make sure that we get that flour in all the nooks and crannies and crevices, and then shake that off. We're going back into the buttermilk egg mixture, and then double dip into our flour mixture again. So the texture as it's raw feels like meat, maybe just a little bit firmer than the fresh cut. And so I don't know if it's fully rehydrated after 12 hours. That's one concern that I have. So we're going to do this with all of them, and we'll be back to stick them in the fryer and see how they turn out. All right, so I've heated up the skillet and preheated it. Now I'm going to add the vegetable oil, just regular vegetable oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in separate batches, but I'm going to start with just the water only, and it's going to go in here at the 12 o'clock position. So that's the freeze dried, just water only. And then this is the freeze dried that had the stock, and so I'm going to put it in about the 5 o'clock position, and then we'll take one of these pieces of the fresh and we'll put it here in the what would that be, about a 7 or 8 o'clock position. So we're going to fry these separately, and then we'll come back and we'll cut into them and see how they turn out. So we'll be right back with you. All right, so we want to make sure that we don't overcook these, so I'm going to go ahead and pull them out here. Again, that's the one with just water. This is the one that had the bone broth, and then this is the just fresh cut that wasn't freeze dried. So I'm going to go ahead and let those rest and get the other ones on here and let them cook, and we'll be right back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut in these and take a look. So this is our control. So this would be the piece that was not freeze dried, and you can see that's we didn't overcook it, so that's a nice little medium pink in there. Nice crispy crust on all of them. Now we're going to cut into the one that was just water only. See what it looks like. Now I don't expect that we'll have any of the redness, but that does look pretty good. There is no line, so it does look like it's properly hydrated. You may recall if you watched the other video that I did, there was a red line that was kind of in the center of the freeze-dried meat where it looks like it just didn't reconstitute fully. But we don't have that here, at least on that first piece. Got a little bit of a darker line here on the second piece, you can see. So yeah, it looks like it didn't quite fully rehydrate. I don't think that's bad, and really couldn't taste it on the other one or tell the difference on the other one. So we're going to test, again, our control. This is the piece that was not freeze-dried. We know we're going to like it. It's great. Tastes like whitetail venison should. All right, now we're going to try the piece that was rehydrated water only. Crust is coming off a little bit, but taste, feels exactly the same. There's absolutely no difference that I can tell between those two, between this one and this one. We're going to try this one that had, again, this may have been a slightly thicker piece, and it's the one that has the dark line in it. So you can see that. Again, I can't tell the difference between any of them. Of course, the previous test I did only the meat test. This one I flavored the seasoning just like I would, fried it up just like I would. I would either put gravy or ketchup on this, and that's what I'm going to do as I continue to eat. But I'm very pleased with the way that these turned out. Both methods, I really can't tell the difference between, maybe just a little bit. You can taste that stock as I'm thinking about it, but I think with the crust on it, there's really not a significant difference. If I were to test each of these and get them mixed up, I couldn't tell you which one was which, other than maybe that dark line in the middle there. So maybe let rehydrate just a little bit longer. Now for long-term emergency type storage, I think it's best to do pre-cooked foods, because if you have a power outage or if there's an emergency situation, then you don't want to take the time to take your freeze-dried food, take it out, rehydrate it, cook it, all of that stuff. But if you're using your freeze dryer to clean up freezer space or to diversify your freezer space, I got a friend of mine, Leon, that recently lost a freezer and he lost all his food. Just another reason, in addition to those that we talked about in a previous video, just a diversification of where you can store your food. That way, if you have one freezer that goes out, you got a little diversification. So anyway, I'm really pleased with the way this turned out. If you got a freeze dryer, I encourage you to test it out, test out some recipes of your own. Of course, I'm going to be continuing to do additional tests myself, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and enjoy this. If you got any other suggestions or ideas that you'd like to see, let me know, and I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video.